So the company has its roots at the University of Helsinki in Finland, and consequently our two programs have their roots in two of the leading science programs at the University of Helsinki. So Professor Kari Alitalo, who's a renowned scientist in vascular endothelial growth factors. He's the brains behind our lymphectin program. And then Professor Mart Saarma, who is also a long-time leader of a national excellence group in Finland, has his groups behind our CDNF development in Parkinson's disease. Well, first of all, CDNF, despite its name, is not a neurotrophic factor. And we have very exciting science coming up showing that it's a very potent ER stress alleviator and a neuroprotective and neurorestorative factor. But also, of course, very interesting now, we've seen the BBC documentary on GDNF. The name resembles CDNF. There are also very many similarities, such as the route of administration. But excitingly, just last week, we presented data at the ADPD meeting in Lisbon, showing side-by-side comparison of CDNF and GDNF and suggesting that our CDNF is even more potent, which of course is very exciting for the patients because GDNF also has a lot of promise in Parkinson's. Since, as mentioned, CDNF is administered using the same route of administration as GDNF. It's a protein, it doesn't pass the blood-brain barrier, so we are administering it directly in the brains using a sophisticated device. But now we have in our hands a very exciting next-generation module, a fragment of the CDNF protein, which we have shown to retain the biological activity of CDNF. So it appears to work exactly the same way, but it also is able to penetrate membranes. And we have shown already in animal models that using the next generation CDNF with the subcutaneous administration, so a really simple route of administration, we can still reach the brain and reach the same activity. Lymphectin is targeting secondary lymphedema, which is a huge unmet need. It's also a very much a neglected disease and even one could say a very unknown disease, despite the fact that it's now estimated that there are over 200 million people in the world suffering from lymphedema. And our lymphectin aims to be the first curative treatment of secondary lymphedema and also the first approved drug to treat secondary lymphedema. And currently in phase 2, so we are really in an exciting position there. Well, obviously for the two ongoing clinical programs, so CDNF in Parkinson's disease, lymphectin for the treatment of secondary lymphedema, both now in clinical proof of concept studies. So we'll also plan to use the proceeds for preparations for the next stage in development. And then obviously the next generation non-invasive CDNF, which is still in early preclinical stage, but looks very exciting, will definitely get a share of those proceeds. We look forward to a readout, unblinding and readout in the Parkinson study, roughly at the turn of the year. And then by the end of next year, so by the end of 2020, a readout from the lymphedema phase 2 study. Those obviously are two very exciting value inclination milestones.